Good morning from Area 51 Raceway. Got a car from Harry. He sent me a fly, and one of the reasons why he sent me a fly is he wanted me to experience the joy of actually rebuilding these cars. And I never done one before. And when I got the car, I completely understand what he was talking about. Everything was like, bubblegum gears, and I am not kidding. This car, basically, when I got it out of the package, you couldn't even rotate the rear wheels because the pinion was basically already cracked. Then I went to rotate it more. The actual pinion popped apart because it's made out of plastic. So what I've done with this car is I've done my own rebuild on it, and I could kind of go over what I did. And actually, this is fun to do these, and I think I'm kind of hooked on this a little bit because this really teaches you, how to do stuff. And even back then, when Harry did the articles, which I'll post in links on this video, what they used to do before we had parts from Slot Car Corner. I mean, it's pretty wild what he had to use, styrene tubes and stuff like that, and just to get things to work. Fortunately, we had brass, so in this instance, I used the brass tube here, which is for 530. For 332 axle. So it's the 1145 K&S. Let me make sure that is the correct number, and yes, it is 1145 K&S. So it's 1/8 inch, tubing for 332 axle. And what I did was I got a 1/8 drill, or drill bit, and a pin vise, and I just opened these holes up and slid the whole thing all the way through, make sure it fit fine. And then I glued them in place. Really nice here. So now you have a full front axle here. And then I got some CB wheel designs, which I only had 15x8s for the front, and I placed the stock tires on it, and you could see what a difference it is compared to when I first opened this. Then I replaced it with my slot invasion guide for my track, and that was fairly easy. Replace the wires. And then what I did back here, and this is the unique thing about this car, is that this is the pod. It actually inserts here in the back, and then it basically floats once you bolt it on. If you want it to float, you just got to loosen the back screw, and this will float fine. Pretty cool, and I really appreciate him doing this. Then what I did also is I used self-aligning bushings, which is the ones from Slotting Plus, and the Victor bushings. And so these are conical bushings, so they're self-aligning. So once I placed them in there and I glued these in place with super glue, CA glue, I had myself a nice, alignment of the axle, and they spin nice and free. And then what I did was I used CB design wheels as well. The inserts, I would have used inserts for these, but I didn't have any, the insert type wheels, so I'm going to stick with those for now. And then I got 15x10s in the back, and then I trued these down pretty, narrow, so that I could put a sidewinder gear and they would tuck in the car real nicely. So as far as I could tell, this chassis is pretty straight, and I did place it with the wheels on there, and it looked pretty good. I didn't have any issues with it really, with the chassis itself. But so far, I mean, it looks like pretty promising. I don't think I'll have any issues with getting this, lined up and ready to go. But I mean, not too bad. Fly makes a beautiful bodies, and there's a few things on this video, like a lot of these come apart, so you have to glue this in, make sure the rest of the stuff is not falling off the light assembly. And then you also have these pipes in the back, which go right here over where the screw mounting hole is on the back of the car. So far I haven't seen any other issues with the car. I had to glue this also, this little grill, with UV glue because that was coming off. But I mean, this was quite an experience. It took me a couple hours to do it. I should, and it does recommend to shave the outside a little bit to trim this down a little so that the car will float more. And but pretty atrocious. I got my motor here. This is a Piranha motor I have lying around. I'm going to use that. And I got a pinion gear and a sidewinder crown gear on the way, or spur gear, excuse me, on the way to finish this. Now, here is the end result of all the parts that I have removed from this car. This is everything that had to be basically removed. And it's quite a, you know, that motor maybe still be good, but I don't think I'll use it. This probably mainly why I wouldn't use this because it's a pressed and knurled gear, and this is why they crack. They push them on there, and then that knurling actually fractures the gear and just breaks it. And then you can see the color of the gear as well. That's a very light color. That's just not really good plastic molding. I mean, the reason why I believe fly cars really sold is because they were ahead of their time in the design on how they look like appearance-wise, and then their packaging was outstanding. But when you got the car, it ran on a track, you definitely need to put work into it. This is the end results. I know I've gotten comments about it. Hey, you should worry about the chassis, you know, how bent they are, blah blah blah. Honestly, I don't think the chassis are real big issues, and that some of them look pretty straight. What really is just all the crap that's on the chassis, which is, you know, the hub wheels, which are plastic. And I mean, they were just stuck in there, and then they were flopping around, you know, all over the place. You could see that is just really not, you know, something that would make the car handle well. And I really enjoyed doing this, and I'm kind of looking forward to doing another one myself. I know Harry is doing one. He's revisiting his old one. He's going to be doing one on the Kramer Porsche. And he sent me this one because he felt that, you know, hey, you need to really rebuild these. And I give him credit because back then they didn't have all the parts that we have now, you know, like wheels and stuff. He had to actually work with what he had. But, you know, thank God we have parts right now and bushings and, you know, self-aligning bushings, stuff like that. This is a real cool looking car. I love the Porsches. He knows I love the 917Ks. But once we get this thing on the track and get it rolling, we're going to see how well it performs. And fly cars make a distinct sound when you know it's a fly car. From, you know, what I've heard, when you run these and you hear them, you go, oh yeah, that's a fly car, because you know how they sound like. I think this will be really cool to get this all fixed up, and when I get the gears for it, and to see how it's going to run. It's a sharp looking car. I just got to do a little bit more work to it, but we'll when we get it assembled, we'll pull some times on it, see what it does, and, you know, treat the tires. I am using urethane tires, but you can treat them with the tire tweak as well. You just lightly wipe them on the tire tweak. You just coat them very lightly, and then you wipe them off, and that's pretty much cleaning them. Or you could use alcohol and water, or, you know, whatever mixture, Windex, which will do the same as well. But again, looking forward to seeing how this car runs once it's all together. It's been really fun. Again, beautifully detailed cars, but the insides have to be dealt with if you want these to run good. So that's it from Area 51 Raceway. Hope you enjoyed the quick video here. As always, have fun, and have fun racing is what I meant to say. Take care.